This feels like a matchup of who doesn't want to win the divisions.
I think it's a hot take. Monunga, I think he might be slightly better than Swift.
Foresee a full Steelers rebuild coming soon. Honestly, the Ravens might need one too.
Years ago, we would love this game. This would be the #1 matchup. This is like the third, fourth matchup that we're really looking at.
If the Chiefs do lose this game, is that it for their playoff hopes this year?
Oh, that's a difficult question.
Hello and welcome to Ain't That Our Ball. I'm David Scott. Alongside me is NFL expert Ryan Sanudo. Ryan, how we doing this week?
Very good. We're already at week 14. So many matchups to talk about. Let's get into it.
Yeah, with it being so late in the season, it's time to really start looking about the playoff implications. Who's going to get in, who's not, and these games are holding a lot of importance. We got 3 matchups this week that are for first place in their divisions. Let's start with, I think, the most important one, the Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers. Bears are the 1 seed in the NFC. They lose this game. They drop out of that spot. The Packers take over first place. A lot going on in this game. What's important?
What's important is just both the offenses are looking really good at the moment. You saw with the Bears, they ran the ball at will against Philly, and the Eagles' defense is really good, so they were able to do that on Black Friday. And the Packers, they dominated the Lions. You know, they were going for it on 4th downs. So I really like both offenses, how they're humming right now at the moment. The Bears have a winning streak. The Packers have a winning streak right now. So this is such an important game. And the Packers, if they win this game, they get the #1 seed.
Yeah, I think the running game is especially important to touch on, especially with the Bears. I mean, it looks like they got a 2-headed monster now between DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monunga, who's a 6th-round rookie. So that's really a diamond in the rough there. They did whatever they wanted with the Eagles, and it was especially exciting to see just in terms of a football fan to see that kind of rushing, over 200 yards on the ground combined. But they can do that against the Eagles. They can definitely do that against the Packers.
I think it's a hot take. Monunga, I think he might be slightly better than Swift, just the way he moves. He's younger. He's a rookie. He's been so great in terms of, evading, tackles. And Swift is obviously really good too. So they were able to just dominate the Eagles in that aspect. But the Packers, I feel like they still have Josh Jacobs. So both teams have great rushing attacks. I feel the Packers were so good in that last year. They've kind of like been here and there when it comes to the rushing game. Josh Jacobs, he was out 1 game. But I feel like this game, the Bears, if they have to win, it has to be because of the run game. Caleb Williams, he's been okay this year. I think Love has been the better quarterback this season. But the rushing attack, if the Bears win this game, it's because of the rushing attack.
Yeah, and I think this game is probably going to come down to which defense steps up further. I think the Packers have kind of been susceptible to letting up more high-scoring affairs than the Bears have. Despite how many rushing yards there were on Black Friday, it still wasn't too high-scoring of an affair. There was some back and forth based on the defenses. I think in this game, if the Bears put up that kind of defensive performance, they should edge out the Packers. Packers have a great defense, but at times it's cracked pretty decently. So if the Packers can really hold down and show what their potential is as a defense with guys like Micah Parsons, yeah, I think they have it here. They are a more rounded unit. But again, if that defense shows its flaws, I think the Bears have an opportunity to squeeze through with this.
I have the Packers winning this game. I think they're going to overtake the division and get that #1 seed. The Bears, they're only +6 in point differential. I know they're 9-3 right now, but they've been squeaking by against a lot of opponents. And the Eagles, I will say, that was a really eye-opening win. Like 9 points they won in that game. But the Packers, I just felt that the way that they dominated the Lions on both ends, Micah Parsons can just dominate, the second half of games. So the Packers, I really like what they're doing, and especially on offense, Christian Watson is getting utilized, in the passing attack because, obviously they don't have Tucker Kraft right now. They have to utilize so many guys on offense now, spread it around. And we saw with Wicks, with that touchdown in the end zone. I feel like I really like the aggressiveness with Green Bay against the Detroit Lions. The Bears, I do like them here and there, but I feel like Green Bay at home, I can't doubt them at home, and I think Green Bay will come away with the win.
I'm going to go in with the Bears here. I do like what they're doing. I'm having a lot of fun watching what Ben Johnson's doing with that offense. So I'd like to see them keep it rolling, and yeah, they've definitely skirted by. It hasn't been convincing, but you get a nice dominating win last week. You follow it up with another convincing win this week, and then maybe that gives you some confidence going forward. We're going to move on to our next divisional matchup here. Probably one of the biggest fallers lately is the Indianapolis Colts. They were high on life, really cruising through, and they've had a couple losses here and there that's maybe shaking your confidence in them. And meanwhile, that's given the Jacksonville Jaguars the opportunity to overtake the division. They're now in first place. They're fighting together this week to see who is going to take over first place. Are the Colts going to take it back? Are the Jaguars going to keep it? What do you think?
I think the Colts are obviously trending down. I haven't been liking them recently. I had the Colts losing to the Texans. They lose that game at home. I feel like the Colts are trending down. And also, Daniel Jones, he's not 100% right now. He's got that leg fracture right now, hairline fracture. So the Colts, I don't like them right now on offense and on defense. And now they don't have Sauce Gardner for this game. And meanwhile, Jacksonville, they've been really good. I get it. They haven't been playing good opponents, the Titans and other teams, the Cardinals. But they've been really good on both sides of the ball. They've been averaging 30 points in the last 3 or 4 games, compared to the Colts, where I still don't really see the team that we saw earlier in the season. I feel like he's not the guy from the Giants, but he's also not the guy from earlier in the season. And now the Colts, they don't even have a kicker right now. They signed Blake Group, who was that Saints kicker that missed so many field goals. So they don't even have a good kicking situation right now. And that's what they might have to use in this game. So I like the Jaguars against the Colts. And the Colts, they haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014.
Yeah, it seemed like the Jaguars have always been the Colts' Achilles heel. I remember a couple late season games where the Colts were on the cusp of making the playoffs and some bad Jaguars teams took them down. But it's a different situation this year. The Jaguars' defense is quite good. They're still up there in the upper third of the league, maybe even the top 5 in turnovers. That they love taking the ball away, and that's really helped them on this streak to get back into first place. I think that is going to be crucial against Daniel Jones, who is not shy from turning over the ball, especially lately. He's not been as crisp as he was early in the season. If that Jaguars defense can continue to force turnovers, you're going to see probably a little bit of chaos in this game. The Jaguars offense has not been spectacular throughout the season, but slowly but surely it's been taking little steps forward. Jacoby Myers has been a great addition for them. He's been playing really well. Brian Thomas Jr., if he can get a sniff of last year's form, that's going to be huge for them. And the rushing game, I think, has been just fine. So, the Jaguars, if they just keep it simple on offense and that defense continues to force turnovers, I like them keeping first place.
Yeah, for Jacksonville, I'm not really a fan of Trevor Lawrence, but I feel like he's been a little bit better of late. I always feel like he does commit that bad turnover or that bad pass, here and there every single game. But he can just be, just efficient, just do the small little things right, and they can win this game. And like you said with that defense, I think Josh Hines-Allen has gotten multiple sacks the last couple games. He's really turned it on now. So it won't be easy for Indy. I get it. You have Jonathan Taylor, and I always say this, you can agree too. If they win, it's because of Jonathan Taylor. And if you're not seeing Jonathan Taylor in this game, I'm sorry, I don't think they're going to win. I don't think he's going to do well either against the Jaguars defense that's really good against the run.
Yeah, they've definitely slowed down the running game recently. The Jonathan Taylor just has been as exceptional as he has been in other games. Sure, he's still getting like 60, 70 yards per game, which is nothing to scoff at, but it's not the 120 with 3 touchdowns that we've been seeing. So if he gets it back going, surely they have a better chance, but I still like the Jaguars on this one. I think they have a path forward to winning this division, but anything can happen. But we'll move on to our other divisional matchup that we got going on here. This one's important, but it's not between as tough of teams as we've seen from the first two. We're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. This feels like a matchup of who doesn't want to win the division because they've both had opportunities and they have both squandered them. The Ravens have that loss against the Bengals. It's ugly everywhere. Which team is looking a little less ugly?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I mean, the Ravens, they looked terrible against Cincinnati, and then Pittsburgh, they were just anemic against Buffalo. This rivalry, years ago, we would love this game. This would be the #1 matchup of the week. This is like the 3rd, 4th matchup that we're really looking at. Yes, it does have important implications, but I do like the Ravens very so slightly. Just with Lamar Jackson, I think I like him obviously over what Pittsburgh has in Aaron Rodgers. And then, Derrick Henry. I feel like Derrick Henry, when he's on, he's on. And Pittsburgh's defense, against the run was just awful. Awful against Buffalo. It was historically bad. They gave up the most rushing yards at, their stadium in Pittsburgh since 2002. So I feel like Derrick Henry can just go all out in this game and get maybe, 125 to 150 rushing yards. I think all it takes is one big run, and I think it can happen against Pittsburgh. So I think Baltimore has this. Pittsburgh, I just think they're going to continue to trend down.
Yeah, the first 2 games that we talked about, I don't think were necessarily must-win games because the teams that lose those games are still in the playoffs. You look at this game, you're either 6-7 and out of the playoffs, or you're 7-6 and winning your division. So there are, I think, despite how bad this game is, there are certainly bigger implications for the losing team. And I think those implications do go towards the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are in my opinion, going to lose this game. Are we on track for the first Mike Tomlin losing season? Like, is that's what's going to happen? They're certainly not getting into the playoffs unless they win this division. So they got a lot of work to do, and just nothing looks good on the Steelers. They got no rushing game. The Aaron Rodgers looks like a 43-year-old, however old he is. Mike Tomlin has no semblance of the game anymore. It is ugly all around, and I think the Ravens can just be slightly better to edge home this win and then continue through to take home that AFC North division win. Will the Cincinnati Bengals play some spoiler in there again for the other teams?
You never know.
We'll see, but this is just like ugly football all around. But that's what AFC North football is.
But like the Pittsburgh offense, that's why we're saying it's so ugly, because we saw it against Buffalo. They don't do anything. They just get that one touchdown, and that was it. Rodgers hasn't had multiple touchdowns since week 8, and we're already in week 14. So it's been pretty ugly. And like you said, they don't have any rushing attack. And then other than Metcalf, who really do they have? And even Metcalf, like he's not going crazy in games. So I honestly didn't like the move at the time. You know, with that contract, you lose George Pickens, who's been balling out
that one
in
looks
Dallas.
real bad.
You have to be looking at that as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, like, what are we doing? What is the front office doing? What is Tomlin looking at? So I could very well see Tomlin, this could be his last year. I think it's more than due. And I think, the Ravens, I think, like you said, they just have to be ever so slightly better, and they'll find a way to win. I think the Ravens' defense has even been a little bit better. Yes, they weren't that good against Cincy. I think that was more the offense. The offense just didn't show up at all against Cincy. I think Cincy was out for blood, with Joe Burrow coming back. So this game, Ravens' defense, offense, I like more than Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I can foresee a full Steelers rebuild coming soon, and that could start as soon as next year with a new head coach.
They just have so many aging players.
It's about time. They've been clinging on to that window for a little too long, and honestly, the Ravens might need one too.
Yeah.
But that's a more difficult conversation to have. But yeah, this is a rough game. It could produce some fun since it's an AFC North matchup. They always tend to have some sort of fireworks. But yeah, we'll take the Ravens on this one to probably take over the division. We'll hold on to the division and possibly win it going down the line. We got one more matchup. Not any division implications here, but some playoff implications in terms of one team could sneak their way back into the playoff picture and one might be out of it for good. And we're going to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Houston Texans. Not the Chiefs team we're used to seeing. They lose this game, might be over this year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've been in a lot of games this year, but they were so lucky last year. They're very unlucky this year. And it's so funny to say that entering this week, they have a better point differential than last year, and yet they're 500. So they've just been bad, one-score games. And for the Texans, their defense has been really good.
Whoa.
They're number one in the
good.
league for a reason. Stingley, all those guys on the defensive line, they sacked Allen 8 or 9 times. So they're so good on defense. That's all it takes. Their mindset is, we don't have to score too many points, but our defense we can trust. Hey, we can score. You better take that under in this game, because they can actually win this game. It doesn't have to be a high-scoring affair. So this is a Texans team that just rides with their defense. And then, you know what? Don't throw the bad interception. Just be in good field position, and they can find a way to win the game.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Is C.J. Stroud back for this game, or is it still General Mills holding it down at quarterback?
Stroud played in the game against the Colts, so he will be back,
Okay.
and that he's going to be, this is his second game in a row. He did get 1 interception against the Colts, no touchdowns, but you don't need touchdowns, honestly, with that defense.
It seems like an up-and-down situation with the quarterback room in Houston, because it seems like it doesn't really matter who's in there, because you look at like a team like Cincinnati and you say like, oh, it doesn't matter because they're so good on offense regardless. And with the Texans, it doesn't really matter because you don't really care about the offense on this team. The Texans defense is just throwing it down week after week. Like you said, 8 or 9 sacks against Josh Allen. I think it could be about the same, possibly more against the Chiefs this week. They got a real banged up offensive line. Josh Simmons is not going to play. He's gone on IR. Who knows when he's going to be back. So with a line that's got guys like Danielle Hunter and the likes, they're going to go absolutely crazy against Patrick Mahomes. Expect him to run a lot. You told me that. But also expect him to hit the turf quite a bit.
Exactly. And the only thing the Chiefs I really think they have going for them is that they're at home. They're actually a really good record at home. I think they're 5-1, 4-1, whatever those records are. So that's the only thing I'm liking about the Chiefs right now. And obviously the defense Houston has over the Chiefs. But I feel like, I think they can squeak out a win. I know it's not going to be pretty. The Texans defense can manipulate the Chiefs and find a way to win because of it, but I think they'll just squeak and get a nice little win in this game because this is such a much needed win, obviously for both these two teams. But the Chiefs at home, I always trust them. I don't really trust them on the road. I feel like you saw that with the Cowboys, with all those games on the road. They're not doing it. But I think on Sunday Night Football, Mahomes, he has to go on literally like Superman mode. He has to do everything. And even they still have wide receivers that are banged up, too, that are on the injury report right now. They still should find a way to play. So it's got to be a lot of quick passes. You know, the run game, establish the run a little bit here and there. They can find a way to win. Just don't make the stupid mistake. And the Texans, I know they've been pretty good with that, but Stroud had one pick against the Colts. You never know. I think the Chiefs have to rely on their defense, too, because they have a good defense, too.
Yeah, I'm going to go against you on this one. We'll take a couple separate picks this week. I think the Houston defense is enough to get this done. I just think they're going to be a little bit overwhelming for that offensive line that the Chiefs have right now. I think that is going to be the biggest matchup to look at is how does a banged-up Chiefs offensive line fare against the Houston Texans? And my prediction is not well. I think it's going to be Mahomes on the ground a lot, and I think that's going to lead to turnovers and good field position for the Texans. So we'll see if that defense can hold up against what is historically a very good offense and quarterback in the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, but has not been quite that this year. But my last question to ask you is if the Chiefs do lose this game, is that it for their playoff hopes this year?
Oh, definitely. I feel like this is such a big game. First of all, I think they're 33% right now. And if they lose, they're going to be well below it. And if they win, I think they're going to be close to 50%, maybe 40-something%. So they'll still be in it. If they win it, if they lose it, they're out. So I think this is such a big game for the Chiefs. And they have 5 games to go. They have to be 4-1 at least. I feel like 4-1, you can find a way to squeak in. You're 10-7. You get 3 wins. You lose this game. Yes, I think they got the Raiders in the future. They got I think they got one more easy team.
They got the Titans, I believe.
That was the one. So then they play the Chargers, though. So those are tough games.
And they got one more
Denver.
with the Broncos.
Yeah. So it's not going to be easy. You got to win this game at home, and you're going to stay alive. They're going to be cooked if they lose this game.
All right, well, we'll keep a close eye on this, but that's going to do it for this week's episode of Ain't That Our Ball. You can catch us every Thursday, and every Monday you can watch our tactics show, X's and O's. Please leave a like and subscribe, and let us know if you think the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs.